I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Edrizio de la Cruz. He is co-founder and CEO at Arcus. Edrizio, it's so great to see you. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk today.
Hey, Judy, a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great. Now, a quick note to our viewers. This interview is for informational purposes only. The NYSE doesn't recommend any investments or investment strategies. Now, Edrizio, tell me about Arcus.
Fantastic. So Arcus, we're a fintech-as-a-service platform focused on Latin America. Our mission and vision is to power fintech for anyone and everyone and democratize access to fintech across the Latin America region.
So now, who are your clients and what solutions do you provide to your clients?
So our clients are quite basically any company that wants to launch a modern fintech experience for the respective consumers. So our typical clients are major banks like Santander Bank, BBVA, retailers like Walmart, 7-Eleven, non-fintech tech companies like Rappi, and your traditional fintech companies. The one thread in common that all these companies have is they all want to provide modern, seamless user experiences that really help their consumers' everyday financial lives. All these companies believe that they could become the hub of their consumers' financial lives, but in order to achieve that, they need access to tools and an infrastructure that gives them an access of speed to market. And that's where we come in, right? The easiest way to think about it is all of these companies are the vehicle that's going to drive you, the consumer, towards financial health. And we're building the highway that's going to let that vehicle drive you, the consumer, towards financial health.
Okay, that's a great analogy. Now, tell me, how would you describe the value of Arcus for the market as a whole?
I think more specifically, Judy, we provide a host of fintech product that hit at the center of predominantly the underserved or underbanked consumer. So things like managing your everyday financial services, paying off your bills, topping up your cell phone, and soon we'll be launching a P2P platform that will allow consumers send money to any other consumers inside of our infrastructure. And what a lot of our clients want to do is basically provide a modern financial services experience to their respective consumer. They could build that in-house, but it takes years, it takes expertise, and it takes a very big upfront investment. Now, when you compare that to using an infrastructure that's already turnkey, they're buying not only speed to market, but just a whole set of tools that allow these companies to focus on their everyday business and still have a very modern, seamless, sleek financial services experience inside of their app.
Okay, now finally, Edrizio, what's the future of the fintech market in LATAM and what are the opportunities?
It's riddled with a lot of fantastic opportunities. As you know, in Latin America, really big market, 650 million people reside there. However, about 2/3 of that market remains underbanked. The past 3 years has seen a quite major resonance when it comes to the evolution of fintech in the region. 3-4 years ago, this was an afterthought. Latin America was not really an area where you thought about fintech innovation. Post companies like Nubank and several other companies entering the market and succeeding in the market, there's a lot of appetite. So the way we approach it, the way we see it is, well, we're going to be the infrastructure that's going to allow the next banks, the next retailers, the next fintechs, the next tech companies, the next SMBs provide consumer financial services to the end user. And we want to do it predominantly around the underserved, the underbanked. About 90% of transactions happen with cash. And I think that's great news because that means there's a massive opportunity for all of these companies to now provide bank services for that consumer. And there's been a lot of innovation. There's also been a lot of innovation on the regulatory element as well. Most recently, Mexico passed a number of regulatory bills around fintech law and lowering the barriers for companies to become regulated entities, lowering the reserve requirements, lowering the necessity to speed to market, which allow companies like Arcus to become regulated much quicker, which wouldn't be possible a decade ago. And when you have modern companies have an easier path towards regulation, everybody wins. The regulatory body wins because they have more transparency. The infrastructure wins because they get to play a key role in the ecosystem. And the end app wins also because they get to provide a better user experience for the consumer. And the last piece that wins the most is the end consumer, because now the end consumer has better access to a more modern user experience that they otherwise wouldn't have access to. So I think this is a win-win for all parties in the ecosystem. And I think we're just beginning, so it gets us really excited.
For sure. It sounds very exciting and definitely sounds like a win-win for all. Now, Edrizio, I want to thank you for joining me on NYSE Floor Talk today. It's been great to talk with you.
Thank you, Judy. Cheers.